Hello and welcome to another edition of On the Marquee. I'm John Ballantyne and I want to thank our sponsors for this edition, Joe and Terry Malis and The Photo Place out in Austintown. You're going to be seeing a familiar face today on the Marquee. He has played on most area stages and has thrilled Playhouse audiences in productions like Young Frankenstein, Bullets Over Broadway, Cats, Mamma Mia, and many, many more. I'd like to welcome Alan McCreary. Alan, thanks for coming. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You have played all over the place, a lot of stages. What actually got you going in theater?
Actually, it was my brother, Robin. He was majoring in theater over at Westminster College back in the early '80s, and wanted to branch out. And really, the only theater at that time was the Youngstown Playhouse. So he came over here and got involved, and I wasn't doing anything. He goes, "Why don't you tag along?" So I started doing stuff backstage, and after that, I started doing stuff on stage. So it's.
When did you first start here?
'82.
And do you remember what the first show was?
Probably Annie. My brother was in it. He was Daddy Warbucks, and I was crew. Okay. I ran flies and stuff. The first couple of years, I was backstage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is it about live theater that makes it such a magical experience for both the actor on stage and the audience?
Wow, that's a good question. Being able to bring a character to life and meeting all these incredible people that you meet during the process, and being able to entertain somebody for a couple of hours, let them have an escape. There's no feeling like it. It's called the theater bug, and you get bit. I got
yeah, you do.
I got gnawed. So.
And once you get bit, no matter how many times you say this is my last one,
you always come back.
Keep coming back.
Yeah.
Keep coming back. Now you've done a lot of different roles: comedy, drama, farce. I mean, you name it, you've done it. Which of those do you like best? Do you have a preference?
The majority of things that I've done have been musicals. And it's just kind of the nature of the beast, because that's what makes theaters money. But I love it all. I love dramas. I've done several with you. Mm-hmm. Comedies. They're a favorite of mine too. So I mean, each one has a different aspect that you just fall in love with.
Now, you have played. I mentioned at the intro. You have played almost all the area theaters. I mean, there's probably not too many that you haven't.
There's a few that I probably haven't, but I'm actually doing a couple now that I haven't done before.
Okay, and you have done a lot of things in Newcastle.
Yes.
What makes the Youngstown Playhouse unique among those?
It's built to be a live theater. It's not a venue that has been converted into a theater. This building was specifically built to do live theater. It's got flies, wing space, the acoustics, everything was, it was built to do this. Where most other venues in the area are buildings that have been converted into theaters. Not that they're bad or anything like that, yeah. But this is kind of neat. It's unique.
Serves a specific purpose,
exactly.
Whereas the others maybe were converted movie theaters.
Mm-hmm. Or not even movie theaters. It's any kind of building that somebody can grab a hold of, and then they convert it into a theater.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Since you have played so many different roles, and since you are seen on stage so many different times in different shows and atmospheres, a lot of people, when they see the same actor on stage all the time, they go, "Oh, geez, again." How do you approach each role so you can make each character different, so the audience, when it comes to see it, they see you differently in the role that you're playing and not Alan McCreary playing a role?
I don't know. I just try to imagine what this character is like and do my best, to the best of my ability, to bring the character to life. It's a different process for everybody. I really can't explain it, but I seem to be successful at it. So, I don't know how else to say it.
You played a very emotional character in Block 5. You played a Jewish prisoner in a concentration camp in Mauthausen. You were in with 7 other Jewish prisoners along with a British officer. And the emotional range in that show was huge. How did you get yourself prepared for that?
Wow, that's another good question. You just tried to imagine how they felt being in the situation they were in, and just tapped into whatever emotions I could pull forth, and just tried to impress that on the audience.
Now that last scene, where you're basically destroyed and being forced to go out to the yard, and you actually have to crawl around the stage because you have no strength to walk. I mean, and that is one of the most powerful scenes in the show.
It was a very draining scene too. I mean, I was physically crying the whole time, which just drained me. And it was, like you said, it is an extremely powerful scene in the show, and just thinking what they went through.
Right. Yep. Well, you mentioned your brother Robin.
Yeah.
Great guy. Robin is a lot of fun. A lot of people don't realize that he was here at the Playhouse before you. Talk a little bit about Robin, some of the shows he did.
Well, actually, we were here at the same time. Like I said, that's how I got into theater. Like, he wanted to branch out and start doing shows here. And I think, like I said, the first one was Annie, and he was Daddy Warbucks. And then he got a BA from Westminster College, but he was in several shows here. He was in, it might have been Showboat, might have been the first one, to be honest with you. And then he did Annie. He was Captain Andy in Showboat. Then Annie, then he did Mass Appeal, I think that was it.
Yeah, I remember I've
He did
run across
Mass
some
Appeal, yeah.
programs with him on the
He did
show.
Mass Appeal. I'm not sure how many others he did. But yeah, it's kind of funny. They used to have the Arthur Awards here, and he was nominated. I think it was for Mass Appeal. He was nominated for like 2 or 3 different categories, and that's when one of the first years they started recognizing people backstage. Well, I ended up winning an Arthur Award for being best tech worker on Flies or whatever that year, and he was all upset. It's like if he didn't win one, he was going to kick my butt. So.
Yeah,
But he ended
you in here, and
and he ended up winning Best Actor that year for Mass Appeal. So, but he was really good.
Yeah,
And he was planning on going to New York after he had graduated, and then unfortunately he got in an automobile accident. So,
In that same vein, your whole family has been very supportive. Your mother was very active at the Newcastle Playhouse for a number of years, and your wife helps out here from time to time in shows that you're working on. That must mean a lot to you.
it's been nice. It's been helpful. Yeah, I mean, like the Newcastle Playhouse started up. They were in existence, but they didn't have a home. And then they started up in New Wilmington in a small theater that they converted to a stage, and then their current home became available, and put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that place. So yeah, and like you said, my mother was very involved. So, and that's where I met my wife. But yeah, it's been nice to have that kind of support, knowing that they support my passion. That's what this is.
Right, exactly. Now I ask everybody this question because I get some great answers. There's got to be some great moments that you remember from times on stage, whether they're here at the Playhouse or someplace else. But theater stories are fun to hear because some bizarre things happen.
So what, you want to hear my pizza stories? That's all you want to hear?
That's a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah, Sleuth, opening night, Newcastle Playhouse that you directed. And you had your little music that you started the show off with, and at a certain point in the music you wanted me to fall through a window on a music cue. And for some reason I had pizza with pepper rings on it that night. And right before I had to go on stage, felt stuff moving around. I'm like, oh, it's just gas. Well, turned out it wasn't just gas. So I was walking funny and clenching my toes and stuff, but a couple times I thought I actually messed myself on stage, but ended up being able to take care of business and get back on stage when I had to.
And it came right on.
And I fell in on my music cue. Yep, yeah.
I'm standing there back there wondering.
Yeah, you were out. Yeah, you're like they moved the ladder. You thought they moved the ladder. You can't find the ladder. That was funny. God. So yeah, I don't eat pizza with hot pepper rings anymore. So before I do a show.
Now, considering all the roles you've done, which have been many, is there anything that you would still like to do that you have not done?
Oh,
Well, obviously there's shows that I can't do anymore that I would love to have done. Like one of my favorites is Barefoot in the Park. I would love to have been Paul. But I mean, I could still do that show. I could still be Victor Velasco. But yeah, I wouldn't mind being Arthur in Camelot. I've never done. I've never done that role. I've done Camelot a couple of times, but I've never done that role. I'd revisit The King and I. I enjoyed doing that. I was the King in The King and I once. Other than that, no real roles jump out at me. I would Daddy Warbucks and Annie, and just recently did My Fair Lady. So that was a fun show. So Mamma Mia has been fun. I mean, they're all great. So.
They all have their own special.
Absolutely.
Own special thing. What is it about the Youngstown Playhouse, do you think, that keeps people coming back year after year? I mean, it's been around for almost 100 years. It's had its peaks, it's had its valleys.
right.
It springs back, people come and go. What is it, both on the audience side, do you think, and on the other side, the stage side, that keeps people coming back here?
On the
Stage side, I think it's, especially now, it's everybody's commitment to putting the best quality on stage that you can. And there's so much talent in this area, and people don't realize it until they come and see a show. And they walk out of here just going, wow, that was amateur? Yeah. Like when we did Cats. Everybody was from the area, and we had people thinking we were a touring group. It's like,
It
no.
was an excellent production.
So, I mean, there's just so much talent in this area. Directing-wise, tech-wise, acting-wise, it's off the chart. It really is. People don't realize that until they come and see a show. And that's why I kind of try and tell everybody, it's like, you should really come and see a show. You'd be surprised.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a time when, I mean, this was the place to go. It was one of the only places, at one time the only place. And so they had phenomenal crowds. And then everything kind of dropped off when different things sprang up in the economy and everything else like that. But now it seems like people are coming back in bigger crowds and and supporting the Playhouse more and more, which is good because this is an expensive place to keep running. And it's one of those deals where I don't know that they'll ever get that same full support they had because times are different. But hopefully the quality of shows will keep people coming back in because it's brought a lot of people back.
I agree.
As the Playhouse nears its 100th anniversary, where do you hope to see it go in the next 100 years? Where would you like to see the Playhouse head in the next 100 years?
Just keep on the way they are. Just keep putting on quality productions. Being the first venue a lot of times to put on a production in the area, that'll keep them ahead of the game, stuff like that. But yeah, just what they're doing now, they're putting on quality stuff constantly. When you keep doing that, you'll keep the doors open, lights on. So.
Right. What do you have coming up? Now this won't be seen for a while. This probably won't be seen until we get closer to the 100th. But what are your plans in the near future?
Just continue to do shows that interest me. Like right now, I'm currently in Amazing Grace, which is the Top Hat production, and they're the first community theater to be able to do this show in the country. So, but yeah, I've got Matilda, who's coming up. I've auditioned for some shows. We've got Mamma Mia coming up again in the summer. Other than that, I really don't look that far ahead. Just see what shows are being played at what theaters and audition for stuff that interests me.
Okay, great. Well, Alan, thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate seeing you, and we'll see you on stage a lot, I'm sure.
We'll see. Thanks, Jack.
I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us for On the Marquee this time. And a reminder that our sponsors were Joe and Terry Malis and the Photo Place in Austintown, and we will see you next time.